Hello everyone. Tekken 8 was one of my most anticipated games of the year, and I was ecstatic to be able to play it. And the day it came out back in January, I was ready. I had the date marked in my calendar. I even had the day off. Then my house flooded the Wednesday before Tekken 8 came out, and I wasn't able to play it till earlier in March. Also, that's why I haven't made a video since last year. Anyway, it's good to be back talking about Tekken. I've really been enjoying this game. There's things I love and things I dislike, and we're going to do this review right now. Doing it later does have an upside, and that's I get to talk about aspects of this game that didn't exist at launch. So let's get started. Okay, let's talk about the story. This game has two story modes, the actual story mode and the arcade quest. The actual story mode is handled well. It's about as well as these stories can be handled. It's a major step up from Tekken 7 and hovers around the same level, if not better than the Mortal Kombat games in terms of substance. I've never been a fan of the world's top martial artist becoming the world's last hope. I think tournament settings, or at the very most, street-level crime syndicate scenarios, with some corporate involvement, because corporations are evil, are the farthest you should take the plot and the setting. Tekken 8, along with most other fighting games lately, have moved far from that, involving the entire planet in these shenanigans. Kazuya flies off the rails in this story, by the way. He's trying to take over the world, and he's not hiding it. He's telling the whole world, we're doing this. He is evil, and he's so evil, in fact, his evil is spilling into the world. There's like a part where it's like Pandora off of a Street Fighter Cross Tekken, where it's like showing like to affect normal people. It's pretty much what you expect, but the first half of the story is a tournament setting, and I really did appreciate that moment. Like, it was handled very well. There's a point in the main story where you have to pick between various characters and decide how they progress in the tournament. That's my favorite part for sure. And then once it's over, it turns back into Tekken characters having to save the world and do more modern game stuff. If you're into that, you're going to love this, because it's super over the top. Every character, even the side characters, are superheroes, and the cutscenes and the degree of what they're doing is absurd. But again, handled better than how other fighting game stories have tried. This is a big budget game, so it's getting away with big budget stuff. I think the main story is great. The arcade mode with character-specific stories is also leagues above Tekken 7. The single fight chapter stuff is a thing of the past. In my opinion, this game's arcade mode is not as good as Tekken 5 story mode, but it's around the same level. Like, we were okay with Tekken 6 downgrading it, and Tag 2 downgrading it. Tekken 8 is better than both of those games in this regard, so I think that's a step up. I think that's a step in the right direction. When it comes to ArcadeQuest, the ArcadeQuest is trying to be both Street Fighter World Tour mode and the tutorial. It's Street Fighter World Tour, but way more meta. Instead of putting you in the Tekken world with an anatomically correct create a character, you are this little chibi character attending arcades to play Tekken 8 as an arcade game. Tekken 8 didn't even have an arcade release, but whatever. This is its arcade release. It's within the game. I just personally, before the game came out, and even now, I didn't think that was cool out of the gate. I enjoyed this mode. It's not bad. It also, again, serves as the tutorial. One of the supporting characters, the homie Max, is giving you goals to achieve in every match, like hitting a certain damage threshold, or breaking a throw, etc. Personally, I think combat tuning was the best tutorial mode in Tekken, but that's a topic for another day. The visuals of the arcades you visit are really fantastic. I actually like the settings in this game. The final arcade at the end of the game, after you win the Tekken World Tour within this universe, is the online fight lounge. And again, the visuals are stunning. It looks like you're in, what if Vegas wasn't casinos? What if it was arcades? It looks that cool. Kind of dampened by your big-headed chibi characters walking around, but still, it's alright. I wish arcades and arcade culture were still a thing. There's an Earth parallel where the arcade, as the holy institute it is, receives the respect it deserves. Man, I miss arcades. But at the same time, I've never been a big fan of like these virtual Second Life style rooms and online avenues. But VR chat exists, Second Life still exists. So if that's what you're into, you'll definitely enjoy this mode, and you'll enjoy like how the online works, because I play online. We'll talk about online more further in the review, but I play online like the old way. I still just matchmake in training mode, but the fight lounge is definitely an option. So yeah, this is a general positive. I think most people are going to enjoy this, or if you don't, you can skip it, and it's good that it's here. It's better that it's here than if it wasn't isn't there at all. The gameplay of Tekken 8 is phenomenal, although there are some elements I'm not sure I'm on board with. First off, every character is way more fun, and I'll talk about the roster as a whole a little later, but just know every character is way cooler in this game, driven towards actually attacking their opponent. I know Tekken is a more methodical, spacing type fighter, but Tag 2 wasn't. I remember people pretending the grass was always greener for Tag 2 while we were playing Tekken 7. Now people are doing it with Tekken 7 for Tekken 8. I also remember some of the strongest characters in Tekken 7 just going in. Regardless of what you've told yourself about high-level Tekken, Fang, Claudio, Kunimitsu, Akuma all existed in high-level Tekken. I think the way Tekken 8 works is just more fun than Tekken 7, regardless of SALT or the idea that modern-day fighting games just quote-unquote skip neutral. In my experience online so far, backdashing, sidestepping, and actively choosing not to engage is still stronger than mashing buttons. Playing with some tact, thought, and just general defensive knowledge is objectively stronger than aggression. Aggression just happens to be stronger in this Tekken than it was in the last several. I feel like the generally high damage and solid results for landing moves being more than just a poke, that makes this a better game. I'll bash on Claudio as a character concept till the end of the world. He and Akuma both operated like Tekken 8 characters in Tekken 7. No one was okay with it when it was Akuma, but we let it slide a bit too much when it was Claudio. Again, Claudio had access to better moves with no meter. He just had to hit you with sub 18 frame pokes that were really easy to land because he has really stupid range on his 1s and 2s. Not just his 3s and 4s. Now everyone is like Claudio. I don't even get bothered by him anymore because now everyone has absurd damage on low frame stuff. And that offensive pressure that we just sort of had to deal with from him, now everyone has it. You know, when everyone's super, no one will be. I honestly feel like Tekken 6 kind of ruined how Tekken was supposed to feel originally, forcing everyone's moves to work in ways where they work in juggle only, but like a lot of like standing strings, a lot of like, you know, just solid damage off lower frame stuff, it all went away. Tekken 8 has brought that back, and I prefer that over how Tekken 7 worked. Is Tekken 8 a little over the top with the mechanics though? Yes. The only reason though is every character is already, on top of having better moves, they have these weird passive abilities and ways to buff themselves on top of the new heat system. The heat system can be frustrating. It can lead to rounds being stolen in a very low amount of interactions. Like, that's facts. Like 2 demo mans and a heat smash from Paul, and that's your health bar. I still feel as though people made and continue to make excuses for Tag 2 doing the same thing with tag launchers and like tag assault. Love or hate the heat system, personally, I can get over it. I feel like the game probably wouldn't be worse without it, but the thing is I didn't design this game, and a lot of people are noticing a ton of aspects of Tekken 8 were made with the heat system in mind, so if they go tweaking it or messing with it too much, it could make the game worse. I think as it is, as the game is now, it's fun. And sometimes, yeah, heat ruins the game for you, but again, it comes in clutch for you. I didn't like it when I first played the online tests last year. And I'm not an advocate for it, but I'm also not losing my mind over it, if that makes sense. I think every other aspect of Tekken 8 being better than the last, like, 3 Tekkens, I think that's enough for me to just say, openly and honestly, I really enjoy this game's gameplay. It's a major step up from Tekken 7. The online works better than Tekken 7. I've fought Wi-Fi players with no issue. Are issues possible? Of course. Are there people with wired connections, typically on PC, manipulating the latency of the game, lag switching and rage quitting and all that? Yes, of course. Otherwise, the online is good. I haven't played in lobbies much, or really been in the fight lounge in this game. That's because much like Street Fighter 6, you can matchmake in training mode, an element of fighting games that has been with the genre at least since 2012. I remember in Street Fighter Cross Tekken, you could matchmake while you were playing through the story. That alone is centuries of improvement over Tekken 7, that empty training limbo you were stuck in. I hated it. I can still see it when I close my eyes. In matchmaking, you find matches way faster, probably because it's crossplay, but these weirdly high amounts of time you were playing online in Tekken 7, but not playing the game. The game was on, but you weren't playing. All that's gone. You are no longer forced to hear, get ready for the next battle after accepting a match. This game is not based off of an arcade game. so it works how it's supposed to. The only downside is now there's no endless rematch. So that's the new keep you out of matches scenario. But even with no endless rematch, I'm playing significantly more matches in Tekken 8 than Tekken 7. I just want to talk about the roster for a second. Now, the roster is an important aspect of fighting games. It's probably the most important aspect of a fighting game. Unfortunately, the sheer level of subjective outlook about them is why people are willing to pass on a fighting game typically because their favorite character isn't in the game, right? Or they'll outright ignore problematic roster decisions under the guise of intellectual integrity and that it is no way driven by emotion, when typically this person has their favorite character. They probably have 3 of their favorite characters in said fighting game. Look, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I acknowledge this game gave us a ton of characters off rip, but some of the decided vanilla characters are wild choices over characters that didn't make it. Money is the reason for the roster we have. I'm not gonna dwell and elaborate too much. I will say that even characters that probably shouldn't have been here in the first place are all better than they've ever been. This goes back to the gameplay, but any character on this roster you aren't feeling, if you play them, you might like them more. Just saying. Do I feel like the same amount of just generally good game design would have gone farther on several legacy characters not present? Oh, absolutely. There's 2 bears in this game, and they are different enough. Yet why did we need both of them base? 3 Jeet Kune Do characters, technically 2. It's Law and Lee, but Shaheen steals the slide and while standing mix-ups. He has moves that Raven used to have in Tekken 5. He was always meant to be an ease of access Lee Chaolan, but now Lee Chaolan is easier to use, so what's the point? 2 Kazamas. Feng and Leo do drastically different Chinese fighting styles, yet they're more similar than several other characters that do Chinese fighting styles waiting in the wings. There's no Muay Thai character. There's 1 grappler. There's unique situations being pushed to the side for a smaller than Tekken 7 console roster on top of all of these similar characters being present. It feels like more popular side characters are being regulated to DLC, which I don't know if that's okay. I don't care that DLC exists, but if fighting games are just going to do seasons and live service nonsense, Overwatch kind of proved characters could be free after you pay for a full price game, which Overwatch 1 wasn't full price, it was a $40 game. And Apex lets you earn the legends through gameplay. Don't get me wrong, I understand fighting games have tried stuff like this before and it didn't work. I'm just saying, lackluster characters people wouldn't want to pay for and main characters from Tekken 1 comprising base rosters does not sit right with me personally. Yeah, my main didn't make it in, but he was the first DLC revealed, and I still feel like his inclusion still leaves the roster a ton to be desired. Thank goodness for the 3 newcomers, they're all great. We didn't get a Rufus in Tekken 8, and I really appreciate it. At the very least, every newcomer in this game is fun. All 3 of them, they're fun to play. Don't get me wrong, this roster is a passing grade for sure, but it felt like people that did get their characters at the start were saying, because this roster gives us more than Street Fighter 6, it's automatically an A+. I disagree. It's more like a low C for me personally, still passing though. So the upside of reviewing this game late is now I get to talk about the fight shop and the battle pass that are being incorporated. After several of us paid extra for the deluxe edition. I know I did, my main character's DLC. And all of us paid $10 more for the standard edition. I get if you're angry, but the base edition of this game as a whole from my perspective was worth the $10, video games are getting more expensive increase. I love fighting games, and there's more to this game than what I'm going to mention in this review. It appeals to someone that enjoys fighting games, therefore I believe I am the target audience, and I am satisfied with the product I have purchased. There's so many bells and whistles to this game. There's stuff about the training mode, Tekken Ball, customization. Also, although I've talked about how other games make characters free or make it getting future released content easier without money, character passes exist in other games. I don't appreciate the fact that the deluxe edition upgrade is mandatory with a bunch of stuff I don't want. I feel like I should have been able to just buy Eddie by himself as a bundle, and it should have been bundled with the avatar stuff that is Eddie related. Instead, it's all 4 characters, a bunch of random customization stuff, and no, I don't get Eddie's avatar customization stuff. It's kind of weird. It's kind of annoying. But now we have purchasable customization items, and there's a battle pass being added. Street Fighter has all this already, but now, because this is another fighting game doing it, people are starting to wonder, at what point should something that we are paying for just be added? Again, other games with microtransactions and growing rosters release various options for free. Guns, characters, skins, etc., etc. I'm aware of how complex a fighting game character is, especially a Tekken character. Fighting game characters have access to more actions and animations than some of your favorite AAA protagonists, and that's facts. So I can let a character pass slide, but on top of that, a battle pass? Do I get some sort of fake currency that I can accumulate to circumvent having to buy certain things with real money? If so, is it feasible? Is it a fair amount of time? I'm not sure at the time of me writing this and recording it, but I think it's a fair question. How much can we let them get away with? But also, I think we should remember we don't have to pay for it this time. Tekken 8's not like one of those freemium games. It's not one of those free games that come out trash and then the store works or buying stuff works. And then a year or two later, it's a fantastic game because people kept paying for stuff. In a situation like Tekken 7, they have already given us something solid, something I would say is great. I think there's a reason Tekken 8 got all these glowing reviews before all this stuff started happening. Scummy battle practices aside, we already got what we needed. Or at least that's how I feel. I have yet to buy a Fighter's Pass or whatever for Street Fighter 6, and I have no personal incentive to, yet I still play it. I said Fighter's Pass. I have the characters. I don't have the Battle Pass, is what I mean. But yeah, I still play it. Just to wrap this up, I think this is the best AAA fighting game out currently, of like the 3 major ones. There's technically more, but like people aren't like looking at Guilty Gear and King of Fighters 15 in the way they deserve. I think those are AAA fighting games that people are like, it's Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, and Tekken. And because Tekken is kind of hitting a snag right now where supposedly the quote-unquote honeymoon phase is over, now the Mortal Kombat players are being like, we knew it. It's just as bad as MK1, isn't it? Not to me. I didn't even purchase MK1. Played it once at EVO. Watched other people play through the story mode. I'm satisfied. Had to buy this game. Enjoyed it. Got stuck playing my secondary for a month. Not even a full month, bro. Like, for like a few weeks. And yeah, I enjoyed it. And now I'm playing as my main, and I enjoy it more. But then again, I haven't had it since January. Maybe these emotions will come for me. I don't know. But yeah, online's better. Battle system's better, training mode's better, story mode is better. Like, it's just a direct improvement over 7. And we played 7 for what, almost 10 years? It was almost a decade. And I enjoyed it, but every once in a while they'd make a tweak or a change, or a character would come out and it'd be like, man, I'm kind of sick of this. Tekken 8 so far hasn't done that, but I know it's a possibility. But Tekken 8 in its inertial state right now is pretty great, and I'm really enjoying it. If you stayed through to the end, let me know what you think about Tekken 8 down at the bottom. Feel free to like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.